So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us here. I'm really excited to kind of co-present here with Beyond Pricing. The webinar is entitled Strategies to Help You Gain and Retain Your Inventory. This is sponsored by Beyond Pricing and Vintory. And my name is Brooke Pfautz. I'm the founder and CEO of Vintory. And what is Vintory? Vintory, we are a sales and marketing agency that helps vacation rental managers grow their inventory. And my co-presenter is Ryan Saylor with Beyond Pricing. So Ryan, you want to give a quick little intro about you and Beyond Pricing?
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be here, Brooke. Thanks for hosting alongside Beyond Pricing here. As Brooke mentioned, I'm a revenue manager on the Beyond Pricing team. I work directly with property managers and then also directly with our product. So really excited to go through a couple different strategies here today, what we're seeing right now in the revenue management space, and then a little bit of what we'll see likely in the future here.
Sounds good. All right, let's get started. So again, copy this presentation, BP standing for beyondpricing.vintory.com. So let's kick it off. So here's what we're going to be going over today. So first off, we're going to talk about omni-channel marketing strategies to help you grow your inventory. We're going to talk about and show some examples of tools that will help you grow. And then Ryan's going to talk about some modern vacation rental revenue management and also what's next with revenue management. So let's get started. So first up is omni-channel marketing strategies. So the days of sending, one postcard a year or relying on referrals from just realtors for owner acquisition, they're long gone, right? So to be competitive in today's market, you need to deploy an omni-channel marketing program. So what is omni-channel marketing? It's a multi-channel sales approach where you use all of your channels to create one unified experience for your customers. And this can include both traditional methods like direct mail, but also can include some digital channels. And we're going to talk about each one of these. So our firm, Vintory, we implement this 360-degree omni-channel marketing attack plan for our partners. And like I said, what we're going to do is we're going to dig into each one of these strategies in the next upcoming slides. So let's get started. So first up is direct mail. So the vacation rental industry is one of those areas where direct mail still works. There's not many, but this is it. But some of the keys to remember with direct mail for marketing owners and new inventory is it's a marathon and it's not a sprint. And the key is consistency. You want to continue to do this, month after month after month and continuously drip. We've found that direct mail has a huge, very long shelf life. I don't know how many times we've had, calls coming in from campaigns that we sent in 18 months previously, or we've had people come to one of our partners holding a postcard we sent, a year or two ago that said, it was sitting on their fridge and they'd just been waiting to kind of come into town and talk. So it has a great response rate and it has a nice shelf life as well. But some of the keys and what you want to look for in a kind of a mail house or a print house that does direct mail is somebody that can do digital dynamic printing. And what that means is they can customize it. And we'll show a couple of examples of some postcards we've done for some of our partners. And with digital dynamic printing, what it allows you to do is change each postcard on an individual basis. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to make it highly personal. It allows you to change the image. It allows you to insert their name. And you can do tons of different things. So here are a couple of different examples we've done for some of our partners in previous campaigns where you can see how you can kind of customize it. We've even got it where you can actually, based on the persona that you're going after, and we'll talk about that in a couple slides, but you can actually change the messaging to kind of for that persona that you're going after and based on their pain points. And we do this all the time. And again, with digital dynamic printing, you can change out every single one. It's really not that difficult to do. All right, so, obviously these, customized dynamic postcards are great and really cool, but sometimes simpler is better, right? Sometimes you need to think outside the proverbial box. And we've had a ton of success with handwritten notes. We have actually 12 robots that run 24 hours a day. And they are writing these little handwritten notes that you could not discern from a traditional, like somebody actually writing it down. And the response rates on these are incredible. And it's, it's very basic, but it works and it gets open, and the response rates are sometimes 3, 4, 5, even 10 times as high as a traditional postcard. There's several companies out there that do this. You can find online. One that I would recommend everybody look at. It's a website called Handwritten with a Y. So HANDWRYTTEN.com. And they will do these customized, and they can do them in bulk. They can do them on a one-off basis as well. But again, handwritten notes get a great response rate. All right, so email is another strategy that we've had a lot of success with. And here is our 7 key elements of email marketing. And I'll try to go through these pretty quickly. So I'm sure a lot of you have experience with email marketing on the guest side, but how many of you actually have been doing this on an owner basis? But the fundamentals are all the same. So first up, what we talk about is you want to capture and grow that email list, and building up that email list is critical. So we do this with lead magnets on our website, such as ebooks. We do it with interactive content. We'll talk about a little bit later, where you can do some things like online calculators. You can do white papers or case studies. And there's also some great email appending services out there as well. Next up is you want to choose that right email marketing platform. I'm sure most of you on this call are using other email platforms for their guest marketing. So obviously there's like HubSpot, there's MailChimp, Constant Contact, are a couple examples of email platforms that you can use. Next up is list segmentation. So you can segment by various types, right? So you can segment by property type. So let's say you're sending one message for a single family property versus a condo property, or let's say a property is oceanfront versus a golf course community. You can, segment that list and change the messaging up. You can even segment by, call it, rent by owner versus if they're listed with a competitor. And you want to change up that messaging. You're going to hear this theme a lot. Change up that messaging based up on the pain points of each one of those personas, because the pain point of an RBO may be different than if they're listed with one of your competitors. Next up is personalization, right? So nobody likes dear sir or dear madam, right? So personalize it with their name, their area, or even their community or their building. Insert, dynamic content, change up that content based on who you're targeting. And then next is messaging. There's a couple different things, right? You have subject line, you have the overall copy of the message, and then that CTA, call to action. Remember though, less is more. You want to make sure it's designed for all devices. So over 50% of traffic is mobile nowadays. And last but not least is tracking, right? So you want to A/B test, you want to track your open rates, you want to track those click-through rates, and you also want to track those conversion rates as well. All right, so let's jump on over to custom audiences, also known as list-based retargeting. So for us at Vintory, this has been probably one of the biggest game changers we've seen. So previously, the only way to get in front of your prospect was through old school methods like referrals or direct mail. But now with list-based retargeting through companies like Facebook, you can do it through Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. You can actually serve up display ads directly at your targets. First step is you want to establish that target list of properties you want to go after. Then you do an email and a phone append for those owners, so you can match them up with the social profiles. And then what you want to do is you want to upload that list. You can upload it again to Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and then you can serve up those display ads directly at those targets. I'm telling you, this is a game changer. So for the first time ever, we're able to serve up these digital ads directly at your targets. And you're not doing this triangulation thing where you're trying to, do it based on their interest and where they live and everything else, geography. It is direct. You know exactly who you're targeting. And again, you can do this on multiple platforms. So Facebook calls it custom audiences, LinkedIn calls it matched audiences, and Twitter, it's called tailored audiences. There's a couple third-party tools that can really facilitate this, make it super, super simple. There's Retargeter, there's AdRoll, and there's Perfect Audience. And these are great tools to get in front of those on that list-based retargeting. So here's another new marketing channel that is a game changer. It's called IP targeting. And this is where you can upload a list of your targets, and it'll actually search for the IP address of those targets. And this is scary. It's legal. It's kind of a little bit CIA-ish. But it's probably, you only get about a 30 to a 60% match rate. But of that 30 to 60% match rate that you get, it's 99% certain that it's accurate. And it's pretty amazing. So what you're able to do is you get the IP addresses, and then you can serve up display ads on those target computers. And the thing is, you can get as granular as you want. So if, let's say, you have a community, you're targeting people that live in a community like Sunset Island, you can serve up ads, just for Sunset Island owners. Or if you're targeting a building in Ocean City, Maryland, where I used to, I founded my vacation rental company, you could serve up display ads, the Belmont Towers or Meridian or Gateway Grand or so on. And you can get very, very granular and very, very specific. So between this and list-based retargeting, for the first time ever, we're able to push out that digital marketing to targets without them having to go to your website. So this is cookieless, marketing, cookieless targeting as well. So I would probably argue, with the exception of large venture-backed, companies or partners that have hired a Vintory, nobody is doing this, and certainly your competitors aren't. All right, now we're going to talk about retargeting. So what is retargeting? So retargeting is a form of online advertising where display ads are served up to people who have already visited your website. And there's pixel or pixel-based or cookie retargeting. This has been around for years. This is nothing new, and I'm sure most people are familiar with this. And I'm sure most people on this webinar are doing this on the guest side. But this is where you place that pixel or a cookie on your landing page, and we recommend it specifically on like their property management pages, and that prospect is tracked. And we can therefore serve up ads, to those targets on channels such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Or you can serve up display ads across the web. And why is this important? Well, this is important because we know even the best converting landing pages, traditionally, and 85 to 95% of the time, they don't fill out that lead form. So we want to do anything we can to capture that traffic that's come through there, put them through the lead funnel, nurture them along the process, and eventually get them to fill out that form. And we know traditionally it does work over time. All right, next section here, we're going to talk about some tools and highlight some tools to help you grow. All right, first up is CRM and marketing automation. So there are tons and tons of different examples out there. First off, though, leads are expensive. If you actually calculate your CPL, your cost per lead, to get a new inbound owner lead, it is super expensive, and you want to make sure that you're capitalizing it. You want to make sure that you're following up with them. You want to make sure that you're using that database for future contacts. Again, it's super expensive to get them in. So again, numerous different companies out there. There's the 800-pound gorilla of Salesforce. There's Zoho. But it doesn't need to be fancy either, right? It can be Google, something as simple as Google Sheets. The key is you just want to keep track of your of these leads that are coming in some place. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've visited on site with some of our partners, and they're just using sticky notes, and that's not a good, reliable system. But the best one that we recommend is if probably one of the best CRMs on the planet, and it's free forever. So it's called HubSpot. If you haven't used it, I'd highly recommend it. It's free forever. It's up to 1 million contacts, unlimited users. I will warn you, it's a great tool, and they have lots of other paid versions. You will probably end up upgrading down the line some of their paid services. But if you want, you can leverage, and many of our partners do, just the free version of HubSpot, and it works absolutely perfect. And there's a lot of really good native integrations with a lot of third-party apps that we're going to talk about in a second here. So again, we highly recommend HubSpot. Great tool. So this is exactly one of those. So call tracking is extremely important. So we leverage tools such as CallRail for call tracking and recording. So every single marketing campaign that we send out on behalf of our partners has a unique phone number tied to it. So if we send out a direct mail campaign, it's going to have a unique phone number. And if we send out a email campaign, it's going to have a unique phone number on it. You get the point. And what's important about that is we want to track the response rates by not only by marketing source, but we want to track it by a specific campaign. So it's super critical to do this. It also allows you to do a lot of A/B testing as well. Another really cool feature is every single call on CallRail is recorded. So let's just say an example, you are the BD person, the business development person, you're driving out and you get a new lead coming in. You can actually have an alert and tell you that, this is a new lead coming in based on the number that's coming in. And what you can do is, let's say you're driving around, you don't need to take notes, right? You can just, have the call recording and know you can go back to it and listen to it and jot down those notes. And we talked about this a second ago with HubSpot. It actually has a native integration with HubSpot. So as soon as a call comes in through CallRail, it'll record that call. It'll automatically upload it into HubSpot. It'll automatically create a new lead into HubSpot. So now you've got this lead, you can listen to it. You can actually go back a year later, listen to that initial call that came in from CallRail. And, if let's say that owner says that, you never told me that, guess what? That call will be recorded. It'll be saved in HubSpot. And again, this is the free version of HubSpot. So great tool here to help you, with these inbound leads. All right, now we want to talk about landing pages. So you really want to optimize your sales funnel. So after consulting with hundreds and hundreds of vacation rental management companies, I would say probably one of the biggest mistakes I see is not having a good landing page on their website. And this is probably one of the simplest things that you can fix that has an immediate ROI. So if there was a question that said, hey, what's the quickest, easiest thing I can do to increase my owner acquisition? I would go to your website because you already have traffic coming in there. You already have owners coming to your website, and I would improve your landing page on the property management page. We actually have an infographic. It's the 7 key elements, I think, of a great landing page. And again, if you go to that website, bp.vintory.com, happy to email anybody that wants that infographic and send it over to them. But every website needs to have this really good page. It blows my mind how many times I've gone to really even some very successful management companies, and I look at their landing page and they don't follow the basics. So here, and again, this is in that infographic, but I'm happy to just go over it real quickly. So first up is you want to make sure that form is above the fold. Right, you don't want to have you don't have to go searching down towards the bottom for an email to send or something like that. Have a big form right at the top, big hero image, easy to fill out. Second, you want to have the optimal number of fields. You don't want too many. Every study has shown the more questions you ask, the response rates and conversion rates go down considerably. We found kind of the optimal is that 5 to 6. Some of those you can make optional. Some definitely you want to make required. You want to include trust icons. Well, what's a trust icon? Trust icon would be like a A+ rating on the Better Business Bureau. It could be if you're a super host on Airbnb, put it on there. If you're a member of VRMA, list it. If you're a member of the local chamber of commerce, insert these things. These reduce friction in that both on the lead form filling out and also on the ultimately getting them to sign up. Next up is risk reversals. So risk reversals, again, are another way to reduce friction in the buying process. So examples of this would be, let's call it like no startup fees, no long-term contracts, 100%, owner satisfaction guaranteed, something like that. Again, it's a friction reducer. It makes it so easy for people to sign up. And then down a little bit further on the landing page, what you want to do is you want to highlight your USPs. USP stands for unique selling propositions. What sets you apart? What makes you unique? What makes you different? What makes you better than your competitors? And that's one of the services that Vintory offers is we flush out all the USPs and copyright it and put it in a nice way. So you can put that in the landing page here to help get people to sign up. And the last is social proof. So social proof would be a quote from an owner or multiple owners. You could even do case studies. Case studies are great examples of social proof. And again, this just makes it easier for people to sign up. If you're doing any sort of marketing, like outbound marketing, we recommend creating a specific landing page for every campaign that you do. A great tool that actually does this is called Unbounce. It's an inexpensive tool. You can create as many landing pages as you want. You can have a very specific landing page for every campaign. It's super easy to build. You don't need to know how to write code. And again, you can track all your response rates by campaign. You can even create micro landing sites. So I did this at my former company, Vantage Resort Realty. You'd actually create a landing page specifically for, let's say you're in one community. You build it specifically for that. So you're sending out a postcard to call it Sunset Island. They come to a landing page. It looks like you are the official management company of that community. And again, the more you can customize it, the more you can make them feel like they are part of this, it's ultimately going to increase the conversion rates. All right, next up, we want to talk about explainer videos. So according to a study about web use, the average American's attention span is, wait for it, it's 8 seconds. So we now officially have a shorter attention span than that of a goldfish, which has an attention span of 9 seconds. But more importantly for marketers, this shows that businesses only have 8 seconds to capture the attention of their landing pages. So therefore, you need to have great content that engages people and engages them quickly. So this is where explainer videos come in. So not only are they great at getting customers to learn more about your business, but they're also great for keeping their attention. So Dropbox, they gave I've read an article on them recently where they recognized this. They changed their entire homepage to just one explainer video, and this actually resulted in a 10% increase in signups. And then Salesforce's work.com, when they added their explainer video to their homepage, their conversion rates went up by 20%. So where can you get explainer videos made? There's a couple great freelancing websites out there that we've had a lot of luck with. There's Fiverr, and then we've actually worked a ton with Upwork. There are hundreds and hundreds of different freelancers out there, and they can make one of these explainer videos for you, relatively inexpensively. All right, now we're going to talk about interactive content. So interactive content is a great lead capturing strategy. So here's an example of an interactive calculator we did for one of our partners. The potential owner can come in, they can enter in parameters such as their ADR, their occupancy, their expenses, and it'll spit out how much that home will cost or make. You don't need to know how to write any code to do this. This was actually built on a very inexpensive tool called Calconic at calconic.com. Again, it's a simple, you get unlimited calculators. You can make it a calculator for every single thing you want. You can then just copy and paste that HTML code. You can embed it right into one of your pages. And again, this is a great way that we were talking about earlier on how to capture email addresses. This is a great source on how to do that. Here's another great example of interactive content. So we actually built out for one of our partners using a tool called Batch Geo. And what we did is we created proformas for the top 20 top 20 properties currently listed on the market that we thought would make great rentals. And what we did is we then uploaded those proformas to Batch Geo, and anyone can download those proformas. So this is great for buyers. This was great for real estate agents. So we could, when we go and, start soliciting real estate agents, we can say, hey, we built this website directly for people like you, where rather than you going out and scrambling at the 11th hour trying to get proformas for a bunch of potential properties, if let's say that buyer is interested in putting a rental program, they know that they can always go to this website. It's going to have a list of all the top rental properties on there, and they can download these proformas. And guess what? It's branded with your information, so they're going to be passing this out. The best part too, though, is we actually connected this to HubSpot, which we talked about before. And we can actually, what's called gated content. We could actually set this up where they have to enter in their email address to download the proforma. So every time we'll get an alerted, every time a real estate agent, anytime a potential buyer is interested in looking at one of these proformas, we get their contact information. We can do a nice little follow-up directly to them. All right, ProperSum. So at Vintory, we recommend ProperSum to all of our partners. So this is an awesome tool that helps you grow your inventory. So they are a marketplace between real estate agents, between vacation rental managers, and then the buyers of real estate in resort markets. And what it allows you to do is it allows vacation rental managers to view all the properties that are currently listed for sale. You can then go in, log in, you can post a proposal on that property. So their projected revenue, for that property, and then also your commission. And then what ProperSum does is they actually push those proposals out to every single realtor in the community. And it's driving them back to their website, which houses all this information. So any buyers that are looking, any real estate agents that want information about how properties will perform, ideally every single property in that market has one of your proformas on there. So when they are interested, they can go there. It's a great service. Wes, the owner there, is a great guy. And actually we've got a partnership with ProperSum. So all Vintory partners get a significant discount off the subscription price. All right, Loom videos. So many of our partners have had a ton of success with video emails. The use case for this would be, let's say you're having a challenging time getting a hold of one of your potential owners, or let's just say they want to only communicate via email. Well, to help kind of personalize a little bit more, what you can do is you can go to loom.com. You can download this little Chrome browser, attachment to your browser, and it'll allow you to record short little videos. And actually their free version is fantastic, but their paid version I think is only like $10 a month. But you can record these videos. You can, you can see on the screen share right here, you can upload it, you can send it to them, you can kind of, talk them all through bullet points. And again, it's a lot more personal than just kind of sending an email. Super simple, super easy, very inexpensive. And again, if you're having difficulty getting a hold of some of your prospective owners, this is a great way to do it. All right, last but not least, this is the rule of reciprocity. So the book Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. It's a widely hailed book on marketing. Dr. Cialdini talks about the 6 principles of influence. And the number one principle of influence is called the rule of reciprocity. And what is the rule of reciprocity? Well, the rule of reciprocity is that the human beings they're hardwired to return favors, and nobody wants to be a mooch. And if you receive a gift, you feel obligated to give something in return. So I'll give a couple examples. So my wife and I went out to Hawaii for our anniversary last year. And we went to, they have all these random shops up and down the strip there. And we went into one called Hilo Hattie's in Maui. And when we walked in there, this cute older Hawaiian lady put a nice shell lei over my wife and I's neck. And it was a nice little gift, right? It probably didn't cost much. It probably cost 25 cents. It probably wasn't even made in Hawaii. And we walked around, and about 10 minutes later, I was ready to go. I went to my wife to ask her to leave. And when I did that, she goes, "No, I got to buy something." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Well, I feel like they gave us these leis. I feel obligated to buy something." So that was the perfect example of the rule of reciprocity. So I took that little strategy and we implemented it with the partner that we were visiting there in Maui. And what we did is we implemented what we call the pineapple button. And what the pineapple button is we integrated this with HubSpot, and we set it up. We partnered with a local pineapple delivery service where it was not cheap, but I think it was like $50. They would overnight a pineapple to anybody in the United States. So as soon as any lead came in, any prospective owner came in, we would hit that button, we would send them a pineapple. And the idea of that was it would increase our conversion rates with those prospective owners. And if you look at the value of a new property in your rental program, that little investment was well worth it to increase that conversion rate. All right, so those were some of the strategies on helping you gain your inventory. Now I'm going to throw it over to Ryan, who's going to talk about some strategies to retain that inventory by leveraging some revenue management techniques. So Ryan, it's all you.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Brooke. Great intro. Great coverage on really, like you said, how to grow your inventory. And now focusing on the revenue management side, maintaining and retaining that inventory is equally as important. So I know working directly with property managers, owners can kind of fall on a spectrum of interest and actually how you're managing their property. Some owners are very involved with where you're selling their listing, for how much, all the data that comes with that. And some really just want to make money, and that's about it. Most owners care about that. So taking a look at revenue management, I've got this separated into really what we look at and sort of classify revenue management as in the vacation rental industry today, what the landscape looks like. And then next I'll talk about really what we're seeing sort of emerge. Some trends we're seeing from airlines and hotels start to build out in the vacation rental industry as things progress further. Things really just to keep an eye out for moving forward. So starting with dynamic pricing, kind of an obvious one to start with from Beyond Pricing, I know, but I want to point out that dynamic pricing is not the same thing as revenue management. I think I talk to a lot of property managers that assume if you've got a dynamic pricing strategy, you're good. That's it, set it and forget it. That's your whole revenue management strategy. And to a certain point, that's true, but you got to start with a great dynamic pricing strategy. But there's so much more you can do on the revenue management side of things that is outside of pricing that you can do to actually drive bookings and drive revenue. So dynamic pricing is important, but as we know, the industry is adopting more and more new practices, and dynamic pricing is now pretty popular. So what else can you really do to keep your portfolio diverse and competitive in your market? I'm sure everyone's familiar with channel managers as well. Nothing new to the industry, but the idea there is, if you can only sell to a certain audience on your direct channel or only on Airbnb, and you get to a point where a property is struggling and you can't lower the price any further, is it beneficial to open it up to another channel? People don't book the same. Different audiences book on different channels. Sometimes people even book on different channels throughout different points of the year. So focusing on where you can sort of grow your inventory distribution on different channels is huge. Definitely a big learning curve this year that a lot of property managers went through, being the benefit of selling on OTAs, building a direct website, and expanding your presence really online. Something to keep in mind here is obviously distribution cost. So what's the cost of a reservation on Airbnb to you or the guest? And also the cost of even just your direct website or someone reaching out to you directly to make a booking. Very important to consider, obviously, and the bottom line indications that come with that too. And then next I've got digital strategy here, which seems pretty vague. It's kind of by design. Here with digital strategy, I'm really just talking about any sort of digital presence that your listings have online. So anything on those OTAs, anything as far as reviews go, photos, content, anything on your website, anything that a guest would see that's trying to book one of your properties online. So managing that whole ecosystem is a big undertaking, but really flows a lot into your revenue management strategy, because at the end of the day, a lot of what is on your digital platforms and extranets can influence a guest more than pricing. And finally here today, I always like to call out responsibility and ownership of your revenue management strategy. I talk to a lot of people, a lot of property managers that you can't have your own revenue manager. Maybe it's not feasible, but at least have somebody who owns the space. It's someone who's in tune with the pricing, new inventory, concern to owners, marketing. I see a lot of siloed property managers, where someone in charge of pricing isn't talking to someone working directly with owners every day. And that's where you can lose a lot of the revenue management value here. So I think one of the best things to take away is just have someone who's on the lookout for new revenue management techniques, new technology, new things you can use and implement in your revenue management strategy that fits into what you're currently doing today. So on the next slide, I've got a little bit of what we're starting to see in the industry now, and then what we could see down the road, really as the entire industry changes from the property management standpoint, from the technology standpoint, and then also just how guests are sort of evolving with how they book vacation rental properties. And I want to start that with focusing on channel management and again, expanding channels again. Really, I think when it comes to pricing, like I said earlier, there's only so much you can do at a certain point with a struggling property that can't sell at a certain rate. Increasing the amount of channels that property is selling on can give you more of an opportunity to actually get bookings in there. So the more widespread you have a property online or on any channel, the higher chance you have to get it booked, just getting more eyes on that property. So that's going to be huge moving forward. I always like to make the comparison of, I think everybody's very familiar with trying to book a hotel. If you go on Google, for example, and try to book a hotel, you could probably book one hotel room on 100 or more different websites. And I think the vacation rental industry will slowly get to that point as we see more OTA players emerge and different channels, come about over the next couple of years. So definitely something to pay attention to when it comes to channel management and expansion. And alongside that, channel management right now in the vacation rental industry technically is very sound to be able to sell the same property on multiple different channels. But there are further steps that we can take as an industry to get more and more competitive with how we're selling on different channels. And that really falls back on that distribution cost. So imagine a strategy that you could have where you have your direct website and you're also selling on Airbnb, but in high season, you don't really need to sell on Airbnb on the weekends. You know you'll get enough website traffic on your website to sell 100% of your portfolio on the weekends in high season, and you don't need to sell on a more expensive channel like Airbnb. But your weekdays struggle in high season, so that's when you open up Airbnb and your direct website to get that bigger audience in there and really maximize occupancy. Looking at sort of like a dynamic yielding perspective when it comes to channels is really something that I think is going to take the industry to the next step. And we're seeing it a little bit now. A lot of channel managers, you can add a variable channel markup there, but it's either a fixed percentage or a fixed rate that you just add on. And it doesn't really ebb and flow with supply and demand in the market like we see dynamic pricing change. So that's something that we'll kind of take it to the next level. And that's something that hotels and airlines both use today with how they sell on different channels. So we'll likely see that evolve again alongside how OTAs and different channels might evolve moving forward. But really, really exciting from the revenue management standpoint there. Again, this digital strategy point will become more and more important here. The thing to focus on here is going to be consistency in how you're optimizing these channels. You know, parity across photos and content is going to be huge moving forward. I know right now, none of the OTAs really penalize you if you're selling on Airbnb or VRBO. If you have different rates compared to your direct website or not enough photos or content, there's really no direct penalty there. Whereas in hotels and airlines, your ranking will actually fall if you're out of pricing parity or if your photos aren't up to date or anything like that, that can really play into your revenue management strategy and ultimately how you're selling properties on these channels. So very important moving forward, but that'll come alongside how different online channels expand moving forward. And again, here too, perception maintenance is huge. I always like to make or point out the example here. Brooke was talking about the importance of websites. And really, as a property manager, going through the guest booking process as frequently as you can is the easiest way to spot quick and easy wins that you can make to your website or the booking process that a guest would actually go through. So I, a few years ago, saw a property manager, went to their direct website. I plugged in my dates, plugged in how many guests I had, and then I ultimately got a list of available properties for my dates. Now, on that search results page on their direct website, probably had 50 properties that I was able to book, but the pricing for my stay, either the total price or the average daily rate, wasn't shown on that search results page. So I had to click through each property to see what price it was going to be for my actual stay. And, you know, I wouldn't click through that many. I know the average guest wouldn't, and will ultimately bounce and not book. So something as simple as where that pricing is being surfaced on your website can make a huge difference, and auditing that can really be the key to driving more revenue. For a property that might be underperforming for that portfolio, if we're dropping the price, it doesn't really matter if nobody can see it on that search results page. So really auditing your digital presence and that consumer and guest booking process and journey is super, super easy to do, can give you a lot of insight that you might not necessarily see every single day. As a revenue manager working with property managers, I'm looking at pricing every single day. Guests aren't doing that. So look at how they're viewing these prices and how you're communicating your revenue management strategy there. And finally here, again, that strategic ownership position, I think, is going to be more and more important moving forward. If you look at the history of airlines, cruises, hotels, you see the revenue manager role just sort of really escalate over the years and start out as sort of like, okay, someone just needs to do this. Can someone just do it? To really being sort of like a revenue leader for an entire organization. Right now, in a lot of these industries, revenue managers are leading sales, they're leading marketing, they're leading, you know, operations, they're leading forecasting practices. So revenue management will become more and more present moving forward. It'll evolve more past just dynamic pricing. So it's important now to have someone on your team, whether it's someone you can assign the role to or just yourself, be mindful of what your current strategy is, where it should be going, how it applies to your market, and what's going on in your market to be able to create and maintain this consistent and cohesive revenue management strategy. So that was a quick high-level rundown of, you know, what we've got right now when it comes to revenue management in the industry and how a lot of these things, just being mindful of them and maintaining them can help you retain owners in your actual portfolio. I'm not sure if we've got a couple of questions. Brooke, have you taken a look at some of these to dive into?
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Ryan. So yeah, I see a couple of questions here. I'll see if we can get through. One was, if a property manager could implement only one of these tactics Brooke discussed today, which would have the longest term benefit / ROI? Wow, that's a difficult, that's a tough question. I would say you probably want to, I mean, it's so tough because there's no one silver bullet in owner acquisition. Like it's like it's a series of, you need to have that multi-channel approach, right? I would say email probably has the best ROI, but the problem is it's not going to give you a ton of deals. You know what I mean? It may only add a handful of new deals per year. And it takes a while to build up that email list if you do it organically. I would say just from a consistency where, first off, data is probably one of the most important things you can do. Because if you don't have good data and a good marketing list, it doesn't matter how good your marketing message is or what marketing campaign you're sending. So you really have to start with a good data list. And that's where I'd put the money in and invest in. But as far as a specific channel going after that, direct mail is still a good, consistent method. And the beauty of direct mail is, you can kind of get a large sampling size, you can get a large list size, and you can consistently hit to it. But again, you have to do it consistently, and it is expensive, and it does take consistency, but it does work over time. So I'm answering your question in multiple ways here. So I apologize. And, another, theory too is referrals, you know what I mean? Building up relationships, with realtors or referring entities. That's always a good one from an ROI perspective. Again, it's going to take a little while to build up those relationships, but from an ROI, it's not a huge investment. It just takes time. My only kind of recommendation with referrals with realtors is deliver value to them, right? Don't just go and ask and give me. Give them something in return. Like, how can you help build a referral base, or how can you help give provide something of value to them where they will want to return and want to send you things. Another question on here, this is a little bit, I guess, for both of us. It says, is dynamic pricing one of those best USPs a property manager can include in owner recruiting messages? And from my perspective, absolutely. I mean, that's one of those kind of standard ones we list in our USPs. If a company has hired a company like, if one of our property managers has hired a company like Beyond Pricing to do their revenue management, we are going to highlight the heck out of that as well. So Ryan, I don't know if you have anything to add to that as far as highlighting that.
Yeah, completely agree. I think it's definitely something that's sort of easy to show owners that you're at least using them, and really use it as a use case and added value against the rest of the market with how you would use something like dynamic pricing and Beyond Pricing. And even to Lance's question here, really delivering the value to owners is something that I've done working with property managers directly, and kind of coming up with the revenue management strategy, selling to new owners, and adding new homes to the portfolio. And really, we have a lot of good material on our website. I can be in touch with some direct things that we use too, just to really sort of break down really what dynamic pricing is. And the benefit here is that years ago, we did this at Beyond Pricing, but we did it with the vacation rental industry, where 4 or 5 years ago, we were educating on, okay, what is dynamic pricing? What are the value, et cetera, et cetera. Now as an industry, we're pretty evolved. Everybody's on the same page, but we can use that same material and that same content to now educate our owners. So there's a lot there, and we can add a lot more to our website, but it's a great question and something that can easily be quickly added in either that sales or onboarding process to really reassure owners that we're staying ahead of the game. It's an intelligent tool to use against the rest of the market, and then jump right in there with the ROI as well. So yeah, that's a great question.
And I think I saw one more question about just Google ads. Yes, 100%. We recommend running paid Google ads. We run it and we manage this for all of our partners, and it definitely brings in deals. The key with it though is the search volume is so low, so you're just going to have to do tons and tons of different search criteria to kind of make sure you have enough leads coming in kind of the top of the funnel. But again, it is an effective strategy, and the ROI is usually there on it. It's only going to add a handful of properties, depending on how big your market is. It's probably going to add a handful of properties per year.
Yeah, someone else asked quickly if this is being recorded. So yeah, if you registered for the webinar, it'll be recorded. Our emails are up on the screen too. You can grab a copy at bp.vintory.com. So plenty to go if you missed out on some of this. And happy to answer any further questions if anybody has any after you're watching too.
Yep. And again, if you want a copy of this presentation or anything else, just go to that landing page, bp.vintory.com. And if you just put in the notes there that you want to copy the actual recording of it, we can put a link in there, right in there. So just put that in the comments section. Cool. I think that is it. Well, I appreciate it, Ryan. Thanks for your time, and thanks for co-presenting with us. And thank you to everybody for joining us. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at Brooke with an E at Vintory.com. And then Ryan can be reached at, I hope I got this right, Ryan at beyondpricing.com.
That's it. Works good. Thanks, everyone.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Take care.